Hi again, this is Doug Williams with Viva Las Vegas Autos and A Car's Life. And today I get to bring you a very, very special car. This is a 1964 Jaguar XKE Series 1 3.8 liter. And it is an absolute stunning vehicle. I acquired this vehicle earlier in this year, around February, mid-February, from a local person here out in Boulder City. And her husband had passed away, and back in the early 90s they had acquired this vehicle and enjoyed it when they first had it, but around 1994 they decided to, and they were living in Chicago, by the way, at the time. He had a major business back there in Chicago in the boxing industry, not boxing like it's actually shipping boxes, but anyways. He decided that he wanted to restore this vehicle back to its original positioning and things. It was not in the original white. The interior was still black on it, but they wanted the whole car restored. So they sought out the best restoration place in the U.S. Just happened to be there in Oswego, Illinois, and if you're familiar with Jaguar builders and at Concourse levels, that location was JK Restorations. A guy named Jim and his brother Gary opened that business in 1981, and they have been building spectacular Jaguars ever since, and they are still in business. I've had several conversations with them. Great guys. And what's interesting in these guys at JK Restorations, Jim and Gary, neither one of them have cell phones. They have a landline still. They don't have any computers in the shop. I never had them. And I begged to be able to go back east, fly back east, and meet with them and video interview them, along with video interview their shop. And they just were like, no, we just don't do that. We had an interview back in 1995 with the Chicago Tribune, and they wanted to do that. We told them no to. But what's interesting is I do have a copy of that 1995 interview from the Chicago Tribune. I had to subscribe to the Chicago Tribune to get into the vaults of their prior contents and articles, and I found the article was about their restoration business. They've also been known for several vehicles that have probably seen on Bring a Trailer. The most notable one was Clark Gable's XKE 120 that brought $311,000. But they've also had other Jaguar XKEs that they've built that have crossed the paths of Sotheby's, Christie's auctions, and Pebble Beach. So these guys are no slouches when it comes to building a properly built vehicle. And they remembered, when I conversated with them about this vehicle, they remembered the owner and the build and had fond memories about this particular vehicle. So it's very interesting, and it's going to be exciting to talk about this car. So let's walk around and review it. So the first thing you notice on a XKE, especially the early vintage Series 1s, is those glass enclosed headlights. They are beautiful. This vehicle finished its restoration in 1998, and they never drove it back east, other than they had it licensed up until 1999 in Illinois, and then they sold their business and moved out west here to Boulder City. So I don't have much of a record of how many miles were put on this car, but based on the condition of every inch of this car, top to bottom, I don't think they put 500 miles on this car after the restoration. When we got it, the tank had been emptied and it was stored up in the air, and it just basically was in his collection of cars. So, but talk about beautiful lines. And I'll tell you, my video's not going to do justice to the overall condition of this, but my pictures will. So I can walk you through the videos here. This is going to be more about the drivability of the vehicle. You'll be able to see those, and talking about just some of the simple things, like those red line tires are brand new. There's not 100 miles on those. They're beautiful. Those are Coker red line radials. That boot, you'll see pictures where we've got the boot both in black and in red. Now, there's an obvious reason why I did the red. That red interior was originally black. The owner decided to go with the red leather. That's a supple, beautiful red leather. And I just looked at it and thought, this thing needs a red boot. We had an original 1964 boot that came with the vehicle. Problem with that boot is it was 2 inches short, and we used it to manufacture the new boots. So on these boots, they are upholstered and done exactly like an original boot. The black one is actually done in the same materials as the original. So you'll see that we do have a black boot that goes with this, and it's in the same materials that was brand new that Jaguar used. Similar pattern, I mean, as close as it gets. This one's pretty close to it too as far as the pattern, just not as deep as the black. The riveting process, the curved metals that we did to anchor in the thing. So, and the padding underneath is all done just like the original 1963 boot. So, or 64 boot. The interior on this thing has quite the story that I thought was really interesting. When I was talking to Jim over at JK Restorations, he told me that Ogden Upholstery and Trim is who manufactured and did this interior. And then he noted that they had just passed in 2021 their 100th year birthday. So another location out in Chicago there that's been upholstery business for over 100 years now, which is just stunning to think that that exists, especially when, you know, out here in Vegas, nothing's older than about 70 years. But this car is exquisite. You'll notice in the trunk pictures all the tools that we have. I've got a full complement of all the tools. And the vehicle drives very, very nicely. It's just a sharp car. When you see the pictures of the undercarriage, things that we did on it, we did dry ice cleaning underneath. Didn't need much, but we still wanted to do that. The engine bay was dry ice cleaned. We also polished in the engine bay. And I think there was some caps on the reservoir, the brake reservoir, that we replaced. They had just dried, the ones that were on there were dry and crackling looking. So we replaced those with brand new factory correct cap covers. So, but paint and finish on it, absolutely stunning. Standing back and looking at it, it's just a beautiful vehicle. Beautiful lines, stunning finish work. And the only thing that Jim told me about when I sent him a copy of the pictures that you're seeing, that steering wheel was not the original steering wheel that they had restored the vehicle with. It had the larger steering wheel on there. Now, I know the prior owner was a larger man, and talking to them, at least his wife, they had changed, the only thing they changed out was the steering wheel with this Lita steering wheel, because it was smaller. They could get the smaller size, so it would be more comfortable for him to drive the vehicle. So that's the only change. We do not have the original steering wheel on this vehicle, so wherever that was changed, that was left out. You'll notice in the pictures too that we got access to pictures of all the numbers. It is a numbers matching vehicle, and it's got the Jaguar Heritage Trust certificate as well. That was a nice little chore to get the VIN or the correct number off the mission because that whole console has to be taken apart to be able to get to it. So that was tricky. But like I said, they, as part of their build, I'll be talking about this in my written content, JK did so many special little things on this car. The electronics were done by a specialist that didn't just rebuild, or do a standard rebuild on like things like the alternators and starter motors and everything like that. He rebuilt every bushing with higher quality bushings than what Lucas would have used. And Jim was noted, he says, the electronics in this vehicle will outlast the vehicle more than likely, just in the way they were made. I think it was the starter or the alternator. He told me that back in the day you could get a reman one that would be like $60. You can see on the receipt that they spent $260 some odd having the specialist rebuild the starter or the alternator on this vehicle. So, but you'll see that in the records. But Jim was really fond of that situation, of all the electronics and wiring, stuff like that, being exceptional on this vehicle. So pretty cool stuff. But again, they're building concourse level vehicles, and vehicles that are meant to be better than what they even rolled out of the factory at, but still have that perfect appearance of factory. So anyways, let's take it for a spin. Let's go for a drive and see how it goes. First thing you'll notice when you get into this vehicle is it is beautiful, and the fit and finish of everything inside is absolutely stunning. All the chrome, all the trim, all the upholstery, beautiful. The seats feel so nice. Just a beautifully well done vehicle, and all the little bits and pieces are just very nice. There's one little flaw I'll point out right there in the mirror. I think it's just because it's original, and thought about replacing, but everything's all original, so I'm going to leave it. And maybe it's that they don't have a replacement. That I don't know why they wouldn't have done that, but anyways. Starts right up. Beautiful idle. All the gauges work. All the gauges in the center work. Map lights and stuff like that. The radio does not work. So let's go for a spin. Beautiful day for a drive in this car. A little chilly, but not too bad. One thing that we do with all our vehicles is we try to catch everything we can, disclose everything properly, and allow our clients to have the most in-depth view of the vehicles that we're selling. We respect that you're buying online, and we understand that you may not see as much as what you would think you'd see if you were in person. But let me assure you, I watch auctions, Barrett-Jackson, Mecum. I don't think people see half as much as what I show on auctions. And I do that purposely with all the pictures I have, and I'm sorry that you had to go through over 600 pictures, but there's a reason for that. I want you to see every inch of the vehicle and the things that are important to be able to see. And there are things that you wouldn't see at an auction at all. And she cruises nice, I'll tell you. 4 gears. Beautiful drive. Now she does not have power steering. And I've only got one hand for steering and shifting, so don't bother with me on my inappropriate shifting. When it comes to Bring a Trailer, we love to answer as many questions that you may have, but we actually hope to answer those by the presentation. But every once in a while, if I miss something, I'll be prompted getting that information for you. There was a lot of history that I'll be writing, so please read my opening comments, because it's going to be a thorough, very informative opening comment with a lot of information and a lot of history there. So it's really important that you take the time to read that. I'm going to give the history that I know. I'm going to give the history of JK Restorations. There's a lot of important information there. Like vehicles that have gone across the blocks at various different auctions, other builds that they've done. Again, if you're not familiar with them with your own knowledge, I'll be able to provide you information about them. And they're not on the internet, I'll tell you. They're just not modernized on the internet, so I had to dig deep to find that information about them. But they do take the phone call as long as they're in, you catch them during business hours, because they literally don't have any electronics or digital things, no Facebook page, no internet presence. It's almost comical. And they did not want a photo or video interview at their place, so I just had to do what I had to do to get what I could. So hope you enjoy the video, and I hope it's helpful, and we'll be talking soon. Look forward to meeting you. This is Doug Williams, Viva Las Vegas Autos, and A Car's Life.